happy Monday. Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod. I am the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein, finally back and ready to go after a week of barely being able to speak. I wasn't out because I actually felt so super sick, but I literally couldn't even get a sentence out. Like, I couldn't even talk. Like, I coughed every 5 seconds. So I am back. I think I could talk. I made it through 2 hours of Beeson today. Hopefully I make it through an hour of this show. I've got two great guests to help me out. I brought on the always trustworthy Mid-Major Matt and Tom Vecchio. We'll talk Major League Baseball props today. Mid-Major Matt also has his college football futures. We've got win totals to give out. It's basically football season. We've got training camp underway in the NFL. A lot of headlines, a lot of news to break down. So we'll dive into that a little bit. But on this show, I really like to make sure that we just get ahead of what happens today. Not so much about futures yet. Not going to talk too much NFL futures yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. A lot to talk about. Huge slate in Major League Baseball. 2 games in WNBA. So hopefully we give you guys some winners. It was fun this weekend. Does anybody hosting the show or in the chat finally want to admit the Jays are for real? Mark. I will admit the Jays are for real. Listen, the Jays are for real, but can they sustain? Or are they going to become the Mariners of every year where they look really good at some point in the season and then they tail off? What are they going to do at the trade deadline too, Mark? I don't trust their pitching at all, actually. So I was talking about this today on VSiN with the pitching for the Blue Jays. Obviously, they're looking hot right now. So the Blue Jays had a great weekend. The Jays are in a 1 spot in the AL. The Tigers finally beat them yesterday, 10-4. So the Jays, they're number 1 in OPS and batting average and on base percentage since the All-Star break. Pitching ranks 8th since the All-Star break, but was 22nd before bullpen's top 10. We're working on 8 to 10 game sample size since the All-Star break. They're going for Merrill Kelly. Great. Another very iffy pitcher. I like Merrill Kelly, but that goes right in with the Toronto's starting rotation. I bet the Yankees aren't making the playoffs. What does one have to do with the other? There's wild card spots for a reason. The Yankees will make the playoffs, most likely, as long as Aaron Judge's arm's not falling off. That was the other news of the weekend. I was at Yankee Stadium on Saturday, and I get the news that Aaron Judge has the flexor strain. Even some people were telling me they thought Aaron Judge was getting Tommy John, but then I reached out to some sources and found out that wasn't the case. He's just going to be on the IL now, and then he's going to have to DH for a while. Kind of like Shohei Ohtani style last year. Similar-ish injury, but minus the Tommy John because he's not a pitcher, but was able to play with the injury that he had after Tommy John. Yankees are 1 bad series away from being out of the playoffs. What? You guys are insane. It's July 28th. Do you know that one of the worst losses that the Yankees had in my history of being a fan outside of 2004 was there was a few years ago, probably 10 years ago already, that the Yankees were 10 games up on the Rays for the AL East in September, and they ended up being really bad in September and losing the division to the Rays. So a lot happens in the month of September. We can't go off of what happens in 1 month. Sweet tickets were awesome. Thank you. We had a really good time this weekend. You think they're giving Judge a break? No. He actually has the injury. It's confirmed Judge actually has that injury, and they were actually fearful that he would need Tommy John, but it's not the case. So he actually does have the injury. They actually have to monitor Aaron Judge's injury with that flexor strain because they don't want it to turn into Tommy John. Basically, the muscle that's bothering him is the flexor is what protects the UCL. So if he ends up furthering that injury, it could get to the UCL and then no longer help protect it. It's like the very basic version that I learned about. So the Yankees now are not favored to win the AL East. If you look at the MLB futures right now, a few things shifted with the Aaron Judge injury this weekend. So the Jays are favored at minus 260 to win the AL East. Congratulations to Mark. Aaron Judge is also no longer the favorite to win MVP. It's Cal Raleigh. Is that why they're saying he'll come back? Yes. DH, maybe even first base. They don't want him to throw. That's why they're saying he'll... if they were just resting Aaron Judge, they wouldn't be worrying about what the hell they're going to do with Giancarlo Stanton. Like, Stanton now is going to have to play the field, which is, he can't move. So the Yankees are going to have to, Judge shouldn't play outfield again this year. Right. I can't see Judge playing the outfield again until maybe end of September, middle to end of September. Boone said that he's coming back to DH. Yeah. DH, maybe first base. Like, you got to be careful with them, because the last thing you can do is lose Aaron Judge's bat. And if you lose Aaron Judge's bat, then that season's over. But if Aaron Judge could still hit, and they could square up their infield like they did already it was a great Ryan McMahon this weekend, guys. That was awesome to see how good he came into the mix so quickly. It was a great matchup for him, too, just based on props.cash. I saw a lot of Ryan McMahon props that they really liked. I didn't bet it because I don't like that. What I did bet over the weekend, so yes, on Saturday when I was at the Yankees game with Kelly for Pikkit in the Park, I had Marcus Stroman under 15.5 outs. Probably my easiest cash at a Yankees game in a long time. Kelly's like, first of all, I don't lay minus 150. That was only because she was doing a DraftKings same game parlay, but it was minus 145 at FanDuel. So I like that under. And she's like, I don't like laying a minus 150, but we're adding it into a parlay, whatever. You're insane. Why are you fading your team? Blah, 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 blah. Have you guys done this at a game where you are a fan of the team, you bet against them, you're standing there like rooting Aaron Boone comes out to pull Marcus Stroman. I'm in all Yankees gear and I'm cheering as Boone is pulling him out of the game. I'm like, yeah, let's go, Boone. Woo! People are probably looking around me like, this girl doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know anything about baseball. She doesn't know what she's rooting for. Everyone's probably like, what the hell is wrong with this girl? Sometimes you just got to hedge your happiness. Listen, everyone's like, oh, I'm so sorry. That Yankees game was so bad on Saturday. The Yankees lost. They looked terrible. I hit my bet. Kelly hit hers. She had the over. It was great. Win-win for all of us. But we lost the parlay. And we also lost the 50-50, which sucks too. But of course you lose a 50-50 because everyone loses a 50-50. You guys 50-50 people? Ain't no allegiance to the money. Exactly. Can't worry about it. I can't worry about it. I've played against my team many times, Joe Quill says. It's a gut feeling or the numbers telling me so. Worst thing to do is bet with your heart. Yes, you could cheer for the over. That's a safe one. Cheering for the over is a safe one in games that you've got. But Marcus Stroman, so that game was, we played the Phillies. And the Phillies right now this year, according to the MLB prop spreadsheet that Mid-Major Matt and I do, the Phillies average 15 outs a game against starting pitchers. And that 15.5 outs with Marcus Stroman, who's gone under that in like all but one game this year at home. No doubter. I was even hungover when I gave that out. Had a great dinner on Friday night at Lee & Contro. So anyone who knows Lee & Contro, Upper East Side in Manhattan, you got to go. Best Italian in the city. But I'm going to bring on my best guy. We do props together. You know him. He is always helping out. He has held up the fort for the prop spreadsheet, the MLB prop spreadsheet. He has been awesome. Give it up. Mid-Major Matt joining the show. I don't know what I just did here. There we go. Hi, Matt.
Hey, so who did the Yankees just lose 2 of 3 to? I'm really confused. Who was it that went into Yankee Stadium and nearly swept the Yankees?
The Phillies.
Exactly, yeah. Phillies. Best team in the National League.
Guys, everyone could come on and roast me about the Yankees. I'm the first person to tell you this team's not a World Series team. First one. I'm literally not even upset about it. It is what it is.
I mean, you should be. I mean,
Why?
Zach Wheeler doesn't hit 3 guys in a row very often, or else we would have swept you. So that's disappointing.
The Yankees and Ravens are not going to a World Series or a Super Bowl this year. They're not. I can't say the Yankees aren't a playoff team. They probably are going for someone else by the trade deadline. Matt, what do you see happening at the trade deadline? What's your big trade deadline move since you've been really good at conspiracies this year?
So I think it's Suarez. I don't know where Suarez. So they just said that the Cubs, I think, were going after Suarez, but the Diamondbacks want a major leaguer, a high-end minor leaguer, and then a lower-level high-end minor leaguer. So, I mean, he's the rental, but like I don't know if I want to overpay for a rental. Like he's great, but he still strikes out a lot. He's either a home run or strikeout guy. It feels like lately now his strikeout percentage is down a little bit. but he scares me. The Phillies fans want him. He scares me a little bit because he just fits right in with everybody else who strikes out too much in the Phillies lineup from time to time.
He would be a really great offensive addition, though. I do like him a lot. And it's also crazy that the Diamondbacks could be dealing Zach Allen as well, who has the big name. He's an ace, but he hasn't been pitching like an ace.
Sports Guru, the Dodgers are not better than the Phillies. The Phillies rotation's better. The Phillies lineup is on par with them. And like Mookie Betts not hitting is not helping the Dodgers. Now, if you can tell me all of their super arms come back and they have a rotation like we thought they were going to have, maybe. But like the Phillies rotation's better than the Dodgers. And so like as long as the Phillies make a move, they can't do this Austin Hayes crap that they've done in the past. We're like, oh, let's add Austin Hayes and a mediocre bullpen guy. Like they have to go for it, and then they'll make the World Series.
I like the Phillies. I always felt like this year they've had the best odds right now, and in the last few weeks, because to win the World Series for a while, they've been longer than 10-1. So we'll see what happens with those Phillies. But let's talk about your props for today in Major League Baseball. You're going with Zach Eflin under 17.5 outs. We both like separate things on Eflin. I'm looking at under his 3.5 Ks. So why are you going under his outs?
So I think that this is the second start off an injury for Eflin, and he went 5 innings in Cleveland. And Toronto's hot offensively. And so when you look at their average outs against, basically, this is a team that's 5.24 average innings pitched for the opponent. I don't think Zach Eflin's very good. Remember, the 3 starts before Zach Eflin got hurt, he was absolutely abysmal. You know, the reason why I didn't take the 3.5, as we've always talked about here on the show, 3.5s are tough because if you have an idiot umpire and he gives you 2 strikeouts that weren't strikeouts and then 2 normal strikeouts, that's 4. So, like, I just feel like there's no margin for error. Not that we're ever going to see, like, a lot of 4.5s and 5.5s with this team. But I think Zach Eflin's just not going to last this long because the Blue Jays lineup is hot right now and Zach Eflin stinks.
9.5 total on that game. It's also a fishy line, which scares me a little for Eflin, but I think it's more of a fade on Chris Bassett. Bassett on the road stinks too. This one at 9.5 makes a lot of sense for it to be a high scoring affair.
Yeah, I mean, the Orioles offense is starting to be better than they have been. And I've always believed that the Orioles offense was there. And certainly, when it's hot and the wind's blowing out in that stadium, there's always a lot of runs. And remember, this is the other funny thing is like, let's say the Blue Jays are beating up on Zach Eflin and the Orioles, like you're guaranteed 9 at-bats with the better offense in this game because they are the road team. Whereas if they were the home team, you might only be guaranteed 8.
Then you're looking at Blaylock over 14.5 outs. You're laying some pretty good juice there, Matt, at minus 140. Blaylock is on the Rockies. He's getting the Guardians against Ciccone. Why is he going over his outs prop against Cleveland?
So I feel like the books love taking these bad pitchers and putting really bad numbers with them. Like for the longest time, for people who followed me on Twitter, like we've hit the Charlie Morton outs over a couple of times in a row, like 4 or 5 times in a row, because the books keep hanging these 14.5s. And Charlie Morton, for as bad as he's been this season, although he's pitched better, like he's a guy that constantly gets outs. If you look at Blaylock outside of Coors, he's gone 5 2/3 in Cincinnati, tough place to pitch. He went 5 1/3 in San Francisco, another tough place at times to pitch. And remember, the Giants love stretching out at bats and love having these long counts. And going 5 1/3, like I feel like the Rockies, whenever they get any sort of decent starting pitching outside of Coors, they let these guys go a little bit. Cleveland's lineup, hot and cold. If they struggle maybe the first time through the order against Blaylock, I just feel like 14.5. We're getting 5 innings. That's a key number when it comes to outs.
And on the other side of that, you're going Ciccone. I mean, maybe he's part of. You gotta hope he's not part of this whole gambling scandal over there in Cleveland that they're telling people. They're like, "Hey, I'm going to throw a ball on pitch number 5 in inning number 3." Weird stuff going on. In case you missed it, that Emmanuel Clase, their closer, is suspended at least through August 31st because of another gambling scandal. Same thing happened to Joey Ortiz, who's on the Guardians earlier in the summer. So now you've got Ciccone. Not saying he's part of the problem, but maybe he's part of Matt's solution with the under 2.5 earned runs, minus 140. Why?
I mean, it's Colorado outside of Coors. I mean, whenever you get a chance to get, you don't get a lot of 2.5s. Last series, the Pirates are another team you don't get a lot of 2.5s. And last series, Kelly got 2.5 and it went under, and then Gallen had 2.5 and went over because Zach Gallen's terrible nowadays. But like whenever you see the Rockies outside of Coors, and you look Ciccone last month, technically this month, 3 of his 4 starts, he's given up 2 earned runs or less, and that includes the Orioles, the Tigers, and the Astros. He's also done pretty well on the road. Granted, that's not what we need here, but like he's a guy that's pitched well enough, and it's the Rockies. How many times are they going to score 2 runs or more on the road? So I'm just taking advantage of the numbers here and taking the under in the 2.5.
Another pitcher that people whose name is not Shawn Michael in this chat may not know, Melton, who's pitching for the Tigers today up against Arizona. The Tigers are -130 favorites. Total is 9. Melton's 4.5 strikeout prop up against that Arizona team. Arizona's hard to get a read on, Matt. So why do you feel confident about over 4.5 Ks?
They're hot right now when it comes to the over. I mean, they've had 4 straight overs. 2 of those were against righties. I mean, Burrows had 5 in Pittsburgh. And you look at some of these other guys lately. I mean, Yu Darvish had 5 and 3 2/3 before the break. Michael Lorenzen had 7 in 7 innings. Like, I just feel like I'm a huge believer of riding these trends. So, like we talked about, like the Cubs for the longest time were unders. Now they're on a little bit of an overstretch. So, like, you're going to look more at the overs now for the Cubs. And I think Arizona is one of those teams you kind of take advantage of the overs. Troy Melton had a really good fastball in his start against the Pirates, but the key was his secondary pitches were pretty good too. He was getting swings and misses on his secondary pitches. Now, granted, look, he gave 6 runs to the Pirates, and Arizona's lineup is way better than the Pirates. But I just think this is a guy that's going to kind of get a bunch of strikeouts here, and I decided to take advantage of Arizona, who's a little bit more free swinging. And hopefully Suarez doesn't get traded yet. He's in the lineup and strikes out at least twice tonight.
Cam Schlittler, one of the best names in baseball. If you say it 5 times fast, I might get canceled. Cam Schlittler over 4.5 Ks. This line was interesting, not so much about the Ks, but even the game in general. It's only his 3rd start. Yankees are favored at -132 against Drew Rasmussen and the Tampa Bay Rays. They're at Yankee Stadium, so of course, makes sense Yankees would be favorites, but -130 or more, I start to say that's a pretty hefty favorite for a guy on his 3rd start against the Rays team that's seemingly doing better than the Yankees right now. Schlittler over 4.5 Ks. The Rays were a team a few years ago that was a high K rate team against righties, and this year started out slow with the Ks, so why should they strike out more against Schlittler?
Yeah, this is the funny part of what we look at here, because there was a stretch where you and I had like 4 straight unders with the Rays, and we kept hitting.
Maybe more.
It was Zach Eflin. We are actually 4-1 together on Rays plays, and I like what he does. I like what he does. And if you look since the break, Morton had 4, Kremer had 6, Burke had 5, Jonathan Cannon had 9, which is ridiculous because the number was 3.5 in that game. Nick Martinez had 5. Brady Singer had 8. So, like, this is a young Rays team that's starting to not play so well. So they got to start pressing a little bit. And you look at the guy on the mound for the Yankees. He's a strikeout guy. Granted, everybody's going to look at his last start, but 4 strikeouts, 3 strikeouts against the Blue Jays is like 6 against others. So I think at home he feels comfortable. I think we get 5 innings plus, hopefully, against the Rays, and I think he pitches pretty well. So give me the over 4.5 there for our guy.
Okay, Cam Schlittler over 4.5 Ks today. He scares me a bit because of the small sample size, but Matt's going with a bunch of underrated names today on the board, so you gotta love it. That's where we find our value. Before I dive into your college football futures, I know that you were at the ACC Media Days last week, which is why we didn't have Matt on the show. Anything stand out to you from being part of the Media Days?
Yeah, Bill Belichick wants nothing to do with the radio media. So I was part of Radio Row, and every school had their coach and their players come stop by and sit down, do interviews. I interviewed Bill O'Brien from Boston College. I interviewed both the Virginia and Virginia Tech coaches, and I interviewed our guy, Fran, who is one of the best coaches in America, and Fran Brown. But Bill Belichick wanted nothing to do with the radio, which was pretty funny, probably expected. But I think everybody's going to talk about North Carolina. I think North Carolina is just going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be like a 9 or 10 win team. I don't think they're going to be like a 4 or 5 win team. I think they're going to win like 7 games. And when they're winning, nobody will pay attention that Bill Belichick's their head coach. And if they go on a losing skid, which they probably will at some point, then people will start to question whether or not he belongs in college. I also think this conference is going to be really good at the top. Clemson's probably going to win the conference. My favorite team in this conference, though, is Duke. The problem is with all the win totals for Duke, all the overs are heavily juiced, which doesn't make it worth it, especially in my mind. But I think Duke has an outside shot to make the conference championship. Now, look, they've got to overcome SMU. They got to overcome Louisville. They got to overcome Miami, of course. I can't forget Miami. But, like, I think Duke is going to be really good this year. Their defense could be one of the best in the country. And they paid a lot of money, NIL style, for the Tulane quarterback to come to their program. So they're starting to spend money for football, not just basketball. I think Duke is a sleeper in this conference.
Sean, we're talking about this because Matt was at ACC Media Days last year, so you get a chance to see and hear from the coaches for the first time. It's very important to get any inside info. We do have Matt's college football futures. So his nickname is Mid-Major Matt because he loves looking at the mid-majors for college sports. We're looking at the Hawaii Warriors, and I had a typo because I was rushing. Over 5.5 wins, -140. Why you laying the juice here on 5.5?
So I like Hawaii this year. Hawaii, ironically, their star quarterback, at least he was somewhat of a star. He graduated, but the backup is really good. He played a couple games last year. I think he's going to be really good. And plus, whenever you go out to the islands, it's always a tough place to play. And they've got 7 home games this year. And I think there's a chance they can go 6-1, 7-0. And so taking over 5.5 is a pretty good bet here. Hawaii's defense wasn't bad. I think they can beat Stanford in week 1. That'll set us up nicely with 4 of their first 5 at home, 5 of their first 7 at home. There's even a chance they could steal a game at Air Force or at Colorado or even UNLV in November. So I think we're getting a good number here. Now, the key here is, and I post this on Twitter, like finding the right book, because every book's got different juices. Every book has different numbers. Some of them have better numbers. Some of them have worse numbers. So I know you probably preach this on the show, but this is why we always tell everybody have multiple outs and multiple places to go, because that -140 is the best of all the juices out there at 5.5.
Well, that's why I tell people all the time they could use Pikkit Sports. It's free, and at Pikkit, you could go and look at where all the best numbers are for each of the sports books. It's awesome. It's what I use every morning when I'm giving out lines for the PrepQueen.com newsletter. So if you use Pikkit, and anyone can use it, you just download it for free, and you could shop around, find the best number for win totals, any futures, any game day lines, props, etc. Middle Tennessee, over 4.5 for their win total, another -140. How are you, before you even tell me why you like Middle Tennessee, how are you allocating this money in your bankroll? Like, how many units is this for a -140 to sit on for an entire football season?
So these are 3 of my 4 favorites. I haven't posted the 4th favorite yet onto my Twitter account, and I got a running thread. It's pinned on my Twitter account. I'm actually, and for people who follow me, I'm not a huge, I'm kind of more of a cautious bettor, but I like Hawaii to 1 unit. Middle Tennessee, I have it 1.5 units. I may even bump up another half unit after the camp is over to make sure there's no injuries, because they've got a really good, well, not really good. They've got a very good quarterback in Vecchio, who has had a little bit of a turnover issue, but I like them because Middle Tennessee has a lot of returning starters in a conference that doesn't have a lot. So I have 1 unit for Hawaii, 1 unit for Buffalo, which we'll talk about next, but Middle Tennessee's 1.5, and I might bump it up to 2 if everybody stays healthy. But I love Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee has 6 home games in a conference that nobody really scares anybody in this conference. And there's a chance they might go 6-0. They play Austin Peay, Marshall, Missouri State, Jacksonville State, Florida International, and Sam Houston. There's a chance they could win every single one of those games. That's why I love this thing. And that's 6. They play at Nevada, who's terrible. They play at Delaware, first year in the FBS. They play at Kennesaw State, who's going to be terrible. And they play at New Mexico State to close out the season. Like, there's a chance that this team might win 8 or 9 games. And maybe even we look at like an alternate total for this team if we really think they're going to do well.
Then you mentioned Buffalo. Relatively high number there at 7.5, Matt.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love the Bulls, and I will probably be sprinkling on both them to make the MAC championship and them to win the MAC championship. This Bulls team has a ton of returning starters. Once again, like, Toledo's really good and Ohio's really good, but like, other than that, the MAC is not that scary. This is another team, and this is the key that I kind of look at too. 7 home games for Buffalo and road games at Kent State and at UMass, who are both horrendous. This is a team I think can win 9 or 10 games. You know, the key for a lot of my numbers that I give out here is I don't just want 1 win cushion or 1 loss cushion. I want 2 losses. So I think that Buffalo could possibly win 9 or 10 games this year, which is why I like the over 7.5. This is another team, a ton of returning starters, a good quarterback, a good coach. Plus, it's a random place that is a somewhat tough place to play. So we really like Buffalo this year. Schedule lines up nicely with lots of returning starters.
Joe Dollar says, watch the Kent State slander.
Kent State's win total is 1.5. And there are a lot of people who like the under. Kent State lost their coach in the offseason. And then I think they just lost their defensive coordinator like a couple weeks ago. Like Kent State is going to, if they don't win their FCS game to open up the year, they may go 0-12.
Earl said, how many wins last year for Buffalo?
How many wins last year for Buffalo? Buffalo last year won 9 games, including their bowl game. They finished out on a 5-game win streak, and a lot of the same guys are back. They've got a decent defense. They've got a good enough offense. I mean, the key here for the MAC is you got to win your layups, which is Kent State, Eastern Michigan, UMass, and Akron. That's 4 wins right there. They play their FCS opponent. That's 5 wins. They get Troy and UConn at home, and I think they're better than both of those. So look, ideally we want most of our wins early because late they host Miami, Ohio, and Ohio. Those are tough games. But I think Buffalo is going to be really good this year and will potentially make their way to the MAC title game.
Have you bet any week 0 yet?
No, look, I understand that I'm going to get bad numbers if I wanted to bet week 0, but I got to wait till camp. Like, I got to make sure there's no injuries. Like, if you had bet Tennessee's over on their win total and you saw that Nico Iamaleava left, then you have a bad number because Tennessee's number, I'm sure, finished. So like you have to make sure there's no injuries, no weird stuff, no coaching changes and everything. So I'm fully willing to potentially have to sit out week 0 or play a bad number to make sure I get the most amount of information. And like I play props. Like my favorite bet in college football season is on DraftKings. They do over on touchdowns. So like if a team scores 5 touchdowns and it's over 4.5, you win. So like that bet probably isn't out yet. And it's a bet that I want to take advantage of based off of defenses and offenses. But if there's injuries, that kind of ruins sort of things.
Sean said it's crazy to me. The Ohio State line's 10 points, 10.5, I guess he means without quarterback.
Well, they're breaking in a new quarterback in Ohio State. And the interesting thing is the Ohio State season basically comes down to like 3 games. They play Michigan, they play Penn State, and then they also play Texas in week 1 at home. So if they lose to Texas at week 1, like that kind of means they have no place else where they could trip up. And that September 27th game at Washington will be a little tough. And the Illinois game. Illinois might be pretty good in the Big Ten. So that road game on October 11th to Illinois could be a tricky one. I would lean potentially under on Ohio State for their win total this year.
Just to address Joseph Rodriguez about Colorado. So Coach Prime is coaching this year. He had bladder cancer. They say he's cancer-free, going to coach this season. But obviously you lose Shedeur Sanders. You lose your Heisman Trophy winner. How do you see Colorado faring with a 5.5 win total?
I mean, Colorado's interesting because week 1 is a definite toss-up game. If you like the over, getting Georgia Tech at home on Friday night, August 29th, it's not bad you get them at home, but like Georgia Tech is a sleeper ACC team. Like this isn't actually a huge game for the ACC to win. If Georgia Tech thinks that they're going to be an upper echelon team, they have to go to Colorado and win. You look at the rest of their non-conference schedule, they get Delaware and Wyoming at home. That should be a couple of wins. And their toughest road trips, I mean, I love Utah in the Big 12. I think Utah's going to be very good this year. You may see them once again in my Twitter account because I like the over there. They play at West Virginia. Morgantown's always tough, and they play at Kansas State. Like, it's a tough schedule for Colorado this year. This will really test how good of a head coach Coach Prime is. And, of course, I guess, there's always the small worry that if he has a health ailment, maybe he misses a game. I know he said he'll be there, but, like, things prop up. It's a volatile number. I would certainly check out the juices to make sure, like, it's a reasonable juice. But I think there's a chance Colorado hovers around 6-6 this season.
Mid-Major Matt, as always, you're the best. Where can people find your stuff?
At Mid-Major Matt on Twitter. As I said, I always post my props up there, and we're starting to post the college football win totals as well. And looking forward to the upcoming season, and of course, talking with you every chance I can get.
Thank you, Matt, and good luck to those bets tonight. Hopefully, Zach Eflin gets under his 3.5 Ks and under his outs, and we cash together yet again. Speak to you again later this week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Marley's getting pissed. She's been in the crate for 2 hours for VSiN, and now she's in the crate again. And I'm really irritated because I sat outside with Kelly and our friends for dinner on Saturday night, and it was in the city. Like, who knows that mosquitoes exist in the city? They do, and my legs are completely torn up from mosquitoes. My shower's finally fixed so I could do my hair. Whatever. Today has just been an absolute Monday. So I'm hoping that between Matt and this next guest that I could get some winners and make my Monday turn around, because that's the only way to make me happy. Tom Vecchio joining the show. I just wanted to make a big comeback for everybody because I was totally coughing all last week, couldn't get through an hour show, barely got through a half-hour show. So today I brought on the fan favorites, the best of the best. What's up, Tom?
It seems like when it rains, it pours for you. There's like 19 things going on. But as Shawn Michael is saying, yes, I have a Scooball MVP ticket, and that number has moved dramatically. I have it at 120 to 1, and throughout the weekend it was down as low as a 45 to 1. It's back up to like 100 to 1, so whatever it might be. But the MVP race is really interesting because obviously Judge being hurt changes things dramatically. And I want to say that if the season ended today, there's no scenario where Cal Raleigh wins.
What? He's the favorite right now, minus 135.
And it's wrong. Just because he's the betting favorite. Cal Raleigh, positionally, catchers don't produce. And having a lot of home runs is great. But in literally no other area does he exceed Judge. Judge is better in basically, if not every conceivable area. It's his WRC plus is higher.
Judge.
Everything is higher.
Is in like the Ohtani situation of last year where Ohtani only had to focus on hitting. He didn't pitch. If Judge is going to be the DH the rest of the year, obviously there's a little bit in there that he's not playing the field. However, if Judge is that great, like an Ohtani is, where when he's just focusing on one thing, he gets better. How scary is that?
I don't think that's an issue. Like, I would not factor that in if that was like, if I had a vote, I would be like, oh, it's not like Judge already played the field. He's already been good at that. But every other stat, Judge is just like, Judge hits 40 plus home runs. He's also hitting nearly 350. Like Cal Raleigh isn't touching that. His WRC plus is higher. His WOBA is higher. Like every underlying metric and counting stat outside of home runs, Judge is better. So
if for Scuba to win MVP, you think Judge really just has to sit out a lot?
The Scooball MVP was just really a play on the price where I want to buy into the narrative that he wins back-to-back Cy Youngs. And then we have this toss-up where essentially Judge and Cal Raleigh will cannibalize each other. And then we'll see Scooball gain some of the votes and I'll have a good closing line number at a certain point. That's what it really comes down to.
Okay. Always looking for the good lines. That's how Tom plays it, and that's how we're going to play it today because we've got a Blue Jays money line at minus 110. Yeah. This one is scary, Tom. Chris Bassett on the road. Come on.
Zach Eflin's terrible. I know you were just saying that you and Matt want the under on Zach Eflin strikeouts, and I think you said outs recorded.
Outs, yeah.
That would be great because that would imply that he's getting blown up. And that's what we should be seeing. It is obviously, as you know, it is scorching hot across the East Coast. It is fantastic hitting weather in Baltimore. Zach Eflin with a 38% fly ball rate and a 36% hard contact rate against a Blue Jays lineup that is also scorching hot. They should be pouring runs across. So the number this morning was, I think it was minus 118. It's minus 112 now. I have it at minus 110. Like this is just objectively a great spot for the Blue Jays to bounce back, and the Orioles are dead in the water.
Edward Cabrera pitching for the Marlins today up against the Cardinals. Yeah. The Cards don't really strike out that much. So what stands out about a 4.5?
I love what I've seen from him recently. He's gotten the walks under control, which is absolutely fantastic. That was one of the things that always was a little bit of an issue for him. Over on the season, if you just look at the season numbers, his walk rate is still hovering around 10% or just below it now because he's gone a couple starts in a row without some walks. So he could get the strikeouts going with a 25 or 26% strikeout rate, but it wasn't always efficient, whereas his pitch count would be driven up just because of the walks. That naturally happens. But he's been over 4.5 strikeouts in 11 straight starts. It's been 2.5 months since he has not had at least five strikeouts. The Cardinals are, they're a team that don't strike out necessarily a whole ton, but if you look over their month-over-month stats, their power is also dropping. In July alone, their ISO is down to 140 as a team versus right-handed pitching. So they may not strike out, but they're also not doing the thing that Cabrera necessarily struggles with, which theoretically, at least historically, would be fly balls, which he is also getting under control, which is another reason that I like him today. So he's not walking. The fly balls aren't an issue. And I like what I've seen from him. He just needs to keep things controlled and push into the 6th inning.
I want to address something in the chat, and I'm going to get Tom's thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Yankees will fade out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first one. Some others in the chat are talking about the Yankees not making the playoffs. Put your money where your mouth is, guys. Plus 570 for the Yankees to not make the playoffs. Tom, thoughts on the Yankees?
Yeah, I actually was talking about that over the weekend. It was on Sunday or Saturday night after they lost to the Phillies before they won on Sunday. The price was $470. Like, a part of me just wants to play that just because, as a Yankees fan, get some silver lining in there. Last year, I bet on the Rangers to miss the playoffs, and lo and behold, that comes through. And I'm not happy about it, but I'll take a Rangers at, I think I got them at 360 to miss the playoffs. Like, I'll take a couple hundred on my favorite team to miss the playoffs.
But here's the thing. We don't know what the Yankees are going to do at the deadline yet. We also don't know the status of Judge, but my guess is Judge is going to just DH, which, whatever, fine. We've already made it to the World Series playing crappy defense anyway.
Right.
The pitching is the issue. Can they get another pitcher at the deadline, the Yankees, maybe another utility player? I'm not playing a futures until I know what's going on at the deadline. And I know that's crappy because obviously there's going to be teams that you could get some value on if you get them before the move.
Right.
But I just don't like betting those kinds of uncertainties. How about you?
Right. And I mean, it's you just have to tell yourself a story. Like, what's the I forgot on what book that I saw. Like, you can bet stage of elimination. I think it might be on TK. We can bet stage of elimination. Like, frankly, even if Judge was healthy, like, I don't think they're good enough to win the World Series. Honestly, I don't think
Me either. They probably lose in the divisional round.
Right. So it's like, you could bet on them to miss the playoffs at a big number. I understand that. The additions that they make aren't good enough, or they don't make enough additions. The Blue Jays are hot. The Red Sox are playing well. The Guardians are seemingly turning things around, but now they're having roster issues with players being suspended again. The Astros win the division, and one of the Mariners or the Rangers make it. So, like, there is a spot where the Yankees do get pushed out of the playoffs. So I wouldn't mind a small play on them at plus 500. And then, more importantly, a stage of elimination divisional round probably to get eliminated. They're not good enough. That's what it comes down to.
They're not good enough as long as they don't go out and get some crazy name pitcher that makes their starting rotation much better and more reliable. Take a load off of Max Fried and Carlos Rodon.
The problem is that there's no one available. Like, there's no pitcher that fits the mold that would have that type of impact.
Well, especially because they don't need someone after the end of, like, next year. Garrett Cole probably comes back second half.
No, he'll be back in like May. If he had Tommy John in February or March, 13 months. That's normal.
So they don't really need anyone more than a rental.
Yeah, and I just don't think there's anyone that's good enough to get it. Like Seth Lugo on the extension. Mitch Keller's a name that keeps popping up from the Pirates.
Yeah.
Mitch Keller in theory would be a good pitcher for the Yankees, at least the Yankees team, because he's a significant ground ball pitcher. So he wouldn't be susceptible to too many fly balls. Sandy with the Marlins, his name has always come up as like, oh, is he going to be a potential trade candidate? But now the Marlins are surging.
Well, the crazy thing is Zach Gallen's the big name out there, but he hasn't even been that good.
Zach Gallen's okay, right? Like, I understand, especially yesterday, like a lot of people were talking about backing the Diamondbacks, and a lot of Zach Gallen's metrics this year should indicate that he should be turning the corner because he is due for positive regression, where his xFIP is much better than his ERA. But that hasn't happened yet. And like, you are banking on something that hasn't happened, and the strikeouts are a little bit down. I was never sold on Zach Gallen as being an ace. I know when he was traded from the Marlins to the Diamondbacks, if I remember correctly, years ago, that's the type of prospect he was. But he's a good pitcher. He's not great, and he's struggling this year.
Who's a team at the deadline? I mean, now that we're like the week of the deadline, Who's the team you have your eye on maybe for a bet in the futures market?
So I placed a couple. It's the Cubs because
where'd you still find value on them?
I placed a Cubs versus Phillies to meet in the NLCS. It's not either team to beat either team. It's just that's the NLCS matchup. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Cubs versus Phillies. Name the finalist. 16-1. So, it comes down to, like, everyone's saying the Dodgers, like, okay, it's the Dodgers. It's like, well, are we going to bet on them? It's like, no. It's like, okay, well, they're still the Dodgers. It's like, well, Max Muncy's on his way back, but when he comes back, is he going to be good? Because he's in extremely up and down year. Blake Snell still isn't back. Sasaki still isn't back. Everyone's just saying, like, oh, it's the Dodgers. They'll be good when it counts. It's like, are they? because there's a path where the Dodgers have to go through the Cubs, Phillies, and Mets, 2 of those 3 teams potentially that they have to play before they get to the NLCS. So the attrition will get to the Dodgers at a certain point, and if the Cubs and or Phillies can be on the other side of that and then avoid those teams and then have to face the winner or vice versa, I think that's a good spot to have at 16-1. And I know Sean is saying about the Tigers. And it's the same thing with the Tigers. Like, I have a lot of interest in like a Tigers versus Astros or Tigers versus Blue Jays ALCS final instead of saying one team to win it, because you're effectively getting a better number. Now, as I always say, I could lose this bet the day the playoffs start, because if the Cubs and the Phillies are on the same side of the bracket, then I'm just dead. Like, that bet is just dead. And yes, Joe, don't forget about the Brew Crew. The same thing I'm saying about the Cubs, you can apply to any longer shot team. Cubs, Brewers, or Phillies, Brewers, NLCS matchup, and that effectively gets you a better price.
The team I'm not sleeping on, even though I'm very nervous about it, I'm hesitant. I want to place this bet. Seattle Mariners. The Mariners should be going for another bat at the deadline.
It should.
Their pitching has always been great. It's the hitting that's been the issue. They're rectifying the problem by making the additions that they have in the last couple of years. You got a Rosarena, you've Cal Raleigh now. And then, of course, the recent addition for the Seattle Mariners,
Josh Naylor.
Yes, thank you. So when you get Naylor over, I just really like Seattle this season. And even though in the division right now, they're still behind.
5 games back? 4 games back?
4 games back of the division. But there's value on the Mariners, whether you like them to win the AL, you like them to maybe meet in the ALCS, you like them to win the division. Thoughts on the Mariners for you?
I really like the Mariners. Like, I'm very high on Logan Gilbert and George Kirby and Brian Wood. Like, I think that's maybe the best pitching trio you could possibly get. I don't want to say across baseball, because if Nola comes back and he's at least serviceable, if you put him behind Wheeler and Sanchez, that's really good. Woodruff's back, he looks good. Woodruff, Peralta, and Miz is obviously fantastic. But a trio of those 3 from the Mariners, I think, is really strong. It can go head-to-head with basically anyone. It comes down to the hitting. And again, I think one more move is needed for the Mariners for me to truly buy in.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm definitely not going to sleep on them, even though they always find a way to blow things up in September. Tom Vecchio, what are you up to these days? Where can people find your stuff?
Normal stuff at Sports Grid, doing stuff throughout the week. It's obviously a little quiet leading up until football season, but baseball show on Sundays, various appearances, and then I could not be more excited for football. I despise the summer.
Oh, well, that's why you're in all black.
It's way too hot. It's unacceptable. Give me the fall with 50-degree temperatures.
Yeah, I like the fall, definitely not the winter, but I am very excited for football. Feel like the energy has shifted. It's kind of like that time of year when you're about Thanksgiving and everyone's all excited for the holidays. They start shutting it down. This week was the week everyone starts feeling those football vibes.
It's like the calm before the storm. Yeah.
Right. Training camp's underway. Everyone's still happy because, knock wood, we haven't seen the major injury yet. Like the big.
That's true.
So everyone's still happy until they're not. I know Traylon Burks is out, but like that's been really.
I wouldn't classify that as major, but we have a preseason game on Thursday. We have training camp.
Do you do the Hall of Fame game?
Will I bet it? No. I won't bet that game, but it's just more important from a player usage standpoint about like which players are going to be having expanded roles moving into the season, what the lineups are going to look like.
Yeah, I'm excited. Hall of Fame game is kind of, I feel like everyone's like, oh, training camp's the start of football. Hall of Fame game, the start of football. Preseason games are on, the start of football. Then we get week 0. It's football. But week 1 of college football, it's really football. But then the NFL starts. Oh, it's football season. We just say it's football season every week from this point out.
And are they doing the Brazil game again this year? It's like Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday.
They've got a few internationals. They've got London, Brazil, Madrid. Right. I think they're still doing the Mexico City one, Germany. Right. They've got a lot of different places.
Honestly, I don't keep up with those until it's the week of.
Same. Yeah. And my Ravens aren't playing in any, so I don't care.
Right.
Tom Vecchio, catch him at Tom_Vecchio1 on X.
Yep.
We'll see you again soon. Good luck to those bets tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Time for the prop queen edges of the day. Starting with hitter props. I know that this is a little crazy, but we are going to look for an Ohtani under. He has been struggling recently. Ohtani's gone under 2.5 total bases in 60% of road games this year, 7 of his last 10 on the road. He's hitting 143 in Cincy in his career. Ohtani's been slumping this month, hitting 200. With the flamethrowing Chase Burns on the mound, Ohtani hasn't seen him before. Advantage pitcher. I love this play. Jackson Chourio, over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. He's averaging 2.7 hits, runs, and RBI in his last 20 home games, going over in 75% of those starts. Chourio's batting .382 since the All-Star break. He's also gone over this prop in 65% of games against the Cubs, dating back to the start of last year. He's hitting so well against lefties, hitting .357, and hits well on the road, .313. So Jackson Chourio, over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Kyle Stowers also been on a hot streak. You could look for his over hits, runs, and RBI. He's hit this in 70% of his last 20, averaging 2.9. Ever since the All-Star break, Stowers is hitting .357, .929 slugging, hitting .316 on the road, way up from .282 at home. So Stowers, you could always look to his over hits, runs, and RBI as well. I know he's got a 6 ERA, but he still throws gas, and it's the first time they're seeing him, and Ohtani's been struggling. You don't have to tail it, but I'm just saying I like Chourio and Stowers the most, for sure. But I'm just giving you some little bit of action on the Ohtani stuff. Don't bet him tonight. I wouldn't bet him tonight. Pitcher props. So Zach Eflin, I talked about this already with mid-major Matt. Zach Eflin under 3.5 Ks was in plus money this morning. He's gone under this in all 3 starts against low K rate lineups. Righty starters averaging just under 4 strikeouts a game against Toronto, but 31 overs, 43 unders against Toronto this year. 7 of the last 10 right-handers to start against the Jays went under 3.5. I mean, that is a low number for 7 of the last 10 to be going under. Eflin had just 2 strikeouts against the Jays earlier this year in 6 innings. So take the under 3.5 Ks in plus money. Lefty, Arizona's Eduardo Rodriguez, under 16.5 outs. He's hit this in 8 of 9 road starts this year. Owns a .561 ERA on the road. The Tigers, top 5 in batting average, top 5 in OPS against lefties. They're batting .328 as a team against Eduardo Rodriguez. I know the Tigers are slumping right now. They're the worst offense in baseball since the break. However, if there is a get-right spot, it's at home against a lefty. Knock him out of the game. Erod under his outs. You don't have to bet this, but I'm just telling you, it is not the night to be betting overs on Spencer Strider. He has only faced 1 low K rate team this year. It was the Jays, and he struck out 5 in 5 innings. 48 unders and just 33 overs against the Royals this year as a righty, averaging 3.9 Ks per start. 8 of the last 10 starters since the All-Star break to face the Royals have gone under their strikeout prop. I'm not looking at Strider today. Andre Palante, over 3.5 Ks. This is more about the Marlins. They've struck out a lot more recently. 7 of the last 10 righty starters have had at least 4 strikeouts against them. Palante struck out the more strikeout-prone lineups he's faced with 4 or more Ks in 6 of 7 starts he's made against them this year. Damn. My voice is getting tired. Last one. Framber Valdez, over 6.5 Ks. So he's hit this in 8 of 12 games against high K rate lineups. He's also pitched better at home throughout his career. Although against the Nats this season, starters, they're about 500, but lefties, damn it. I can't wait to never cough again. Lodolo, 8 strikeouts. Crochet, 7. Robbie Ray, 7. So Valdez is as good as those guys, over 6.5 Ks. I hate this cough. Anyone who has had this cough, I apologize to you. It sucks. It sucks. It's not like a cold, it's a freaking cough. It has been so annoying for the last 2 weeks. It doesn't go away. Anyway, we've got some fishy lines. Dude, there's nothing for a doctor to do with a cough. Nothing. They can't do anything. It's a cough. Oh, yeah, cigs, please. I've never smoked a day in my life. Fishy line of the day. Toronto Blue Jays, Baltimore Orioles. This line has moved significantly against the Jays, and it's all because Chris Bassett sucks on the road. I have no interest in this, but I'm just telling you, I have no interest in the Jays. I know that Tom's given it out. Stormy gave it out. It's a good value play because the Jays have been hot, but I'm not backing on Chris Bassett on the road. It's a tickle in my throat. As I don't even feel it in my lungs as much anymore. It's the tickle. It's horrible. Dodgers Reds. Stay away from the Dodgers today, guys. Again, Chase Burns on the mound. The Dodgers could hit him. He throws hard, but when you're seeing this number move so significantly against a public favorite like the Dodgers, I like to stay away from these sides. The Dodgers today are throwing. Why am I blanking? The Dodgers are throwing Yamamoto. I'm going to read what the packet said about this game. So MLB said the Reds can match their longest winning streak of the season with a win on Monday. They've outscored their opponents 20-5 in their 4-game streak. Cincy's bullpen has allowed just 1 run over 11 innings during this 4-game win streak. They've posted an NL best 1.75 ERA since July 7th. Overall, the Reds have won 10 of their last 14. Let's see. Dodgers have dropped the last 2 games of the weekend. They're 3-6 since the All-Star break. Only the Rays have a worse record than the Dodgers since 4th of July. Dodgers 28th in runs per game since 4th of July, averaging just over 3 runs a game. Betts, Freeman, Edman, they're all struggling. LA has lost 6 of Yamamoto's last 9 starts after winning 8 of their first 11. Chase Burns, he's still looking for his first win. He struck out 9 of the first 14 batters he faced in DC before running out of steam. He's been working on his changeup, threw 13 of them last Tuesday. All 27 of his changeups have been thrown to lefties. Left-handed batters hitting 200 against that changeup. So, stay away from the Dodgers today. Stay away. Royal cough. Yes. I thought it all drained out on Saturday. It didn't. Okay, I'm going to try to power through. WNBA props. Oh. Okay. Rockies Guardians delayed, according to Sean. WNBA tonight. So Tina Charles, she plays for Connecticut. Looks her over 22.5 points, rebounds. She's been great at home this year, averaging just over 27 points and rebounds. 63% of centers have gone over their points and rebounds prop this season against the Storm. Charles has also cashed this in all 3 games at home against Seattle, dating back to 2022. She's gone over this in 83% of games this year at home as well, and all of the games against Seattle this season at home. Nneka Ogumike, under 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. She's gone under this number in 9 of 14 road games this season, including 6 of the last 10. When coming off 1-day rest, Ogumike has gone under this in 75% of games this year, averaging just over 25 points, rebounds, and assists. Sabrina Ionescu, under 22.5 points. She's only averaging 18.5 points a game on the road this year. She averages 18 points through her 8 games against the Wings dating back to 2022, going under in every game except 1 dating back to 2022. So definitely look at that under for Ionescu as well. And yes, the Sun are on a second leg of a back-to-back. So I was looking at this on props.cash. So I'll just Tina Charles on 0 days rest. On no rest. Not great with the points. What did I say? PRA. Yeah. On a second leg of a back-to-back, she hasn't been great. She's only gone over in 1 of the 4 starts, but 2 of those were on the road. So with this one being at home. Oh, and those were in 2022. Oh, it's only 1 game on a second leg of a back-to-back this year. I'm not going to worry about that. Only one game this year on a second leg of a back-to-back. She didn't do great against Phoenix. But the thing I liked about it, so yesterday she had a good game. She's been hot, and she's been good at home. So just was looking at those from props.cash today. Thanks to props.cash for those. We've got 3 minutes left, so that means it is time for the best bets of the day. We are going with our Royal Locks. Royal Locks of the day. Okay. I might add Framber Valdez to this, but Eduardo Rodriguez under 16.5 outs. I love that one. One of my favorite plays of the day. In case you missed it before, Eduardo Rodriguez has hit the under in 8 of 9 road starts this year. He owns a 5.61 ERA in those spots, and the Tigers are top 5 in batting average and OPS against lefties. They're hitting 328 as a team against Erod. Andre Palente over 3.5 Ks. The Marlins, 7 of the last 10 righty starters went over 3.5 Ks. Palente struck out his strikeout-prone lineup matchups and with 4 or more Ks in 6 of 7 starts he's made against them this year. And then Framber Valdez, I might add this one, over 6.5 Ks. I like him a lot at home. He's gone over this in 8 of 12 against high K rate lineups. Pitches better at home. And lefties recently against the Nats, like Lodolo, who had 8, Crochet had 7, Peterson had 6, Robbie Ray had 7. So I would say Framber Valdez over 6.5 Ks. Those are my 3 favorite pitcher props of the night. And if you want a hitter's prop, I love the Jackson Chourio over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Great spot for Chourio as well today, as he's been on a heater and he hits lefties really well, and that's what they're getting in Matt Boyd on the Cubs. Also hits very well on the road. It's a 3.5 K against a strikeout-prone team. So, okay, I am done with this chat today. You guys have now crossed the line. Cross the line in the chat. You guys are in a timeout till tomorrow at 5 o'clock before my voice continues to give out after 3 hours of being on air because I don't know how to pace myself. I thought a week off last week of doing full hour shows would help, but then Kelly in Vegas came to town and completely disrupted my potentially getting better. So I'm going to try to get better. Anyway, good luck to those bets tonight. Thank you to Mid-Major Matt, Tom Vecchio. Make sure to go to the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports. Subscribe, thumbs up the video. It helps a lot and means a lot. We're closing in on 600 YouTube subscribers. It would be great to get more. I don't really know how to continue to grow this thing, but let's keep this thing growing. Would love to see it. If you miss anything, you could always check in at the YouTube page to check that out, and the PropQueen.com newsletter, which is going out very soon. And one last thing. So Kelly this weekend, the one thing that she decided that she was going to do now because she hates baseball is just fade Grok. So not Gronk, Grok. And she's been asking Grok for baseball plays. And she went 6-2 fading Grok's baseball plays this weekend. So now she's just going to fade Grok for baseball plays. So if you guys want something, go fade Grok. It's hilarious. You on happy hour. If so, you had me crying. No, wasn't me. I was on here, I think. Anyway, good luck to those bets tonight, guys. See you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time here on the Prep Queen Pod.